All right, time now for All Things Gators, All Things Orange and Blue. Dan Hicken and Frank Frangi, both in studio. This is like groundbreaking or
Is this
something.
live? Are we on live?
I think we're live. Got all this thing messing up. You're not happy about.
I feel better.
You're not happy about your
I
Gators.
broke my hat.
Yeah, I broke this poster here, so we got all that going.
Good. Thank you, Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
Yes.
Why, I don't know. Because we're angry and miffed and hurtful and everything else. But se-ortho.com for all your orthopedic needs in Jacksonville. Frank, I feel like I don't know. I guess bad coaching hires do this, but I feel like, and I'm not saying Billy is, but the last couple have been, obviously, they got fired.
Right.
I feel like we've hit rock bottom as a program.
I think there's two things. I'm serious about this.
Yeah.
I do think when a guy with the right culture and the right plan jumps into a program that didn't have it, it shows up. When Kirby Smart started 8-5 at Georgia, Nick Saban was 7-6 and lost to Louisiana Monroe his first year at Alabama. That doesn't mean next year it's perfect.
Right.
But I do think there's something, too, when the right guy jumps into a situation that needed some fixing, it takes a while. And Kirby's part, it even took learning how to coach. But Saban had that part down. So I get the hunch. It does feel like rock bottom, by the way.
Yeah.
Because and this, what was going around.
When were you at school, Frank?
I graduated in 1980.
And what happened the year before that?
Then 10-1.
And when was the last time Florida was 1-4 or 1-4 in SEC play?
1979.
Yeah.
They were 0-4.
0-4.
But I can tell you, there was just some similarities, even because Pell was there, and even though the team was lousy, you had a hunch he was going to start fixing it, and he did.
Okay.
He started.
Do you have that hunch?
Yeah, I do have that hunch.
Okay, good.
I do have that. But I'm not certain.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because the Cormani McLean not going and a couple others going away. I think it may take longer than I thought.
Yeah.
But I want to go there because that feels a little bit. They were 4-7 by the way in '78.
Right.
Fired Doug Dickey.
Okay.
Brought in this guy Charlie Pell.
Give him hell, Charlie
Pell. Been very good at Clemson, and they were 0-10-1, but you could feel it was different. He was rallying the troops. There was culture there. He got the boosters from all over the state. He built the booster class. He built Gator boosters, and sure enough, it started. Now he cheated, but it started happening.
God bless him.
So I think there's a similarity. When you hit rock bottom, I get the sense this weekend. It's funny you said that about this weekend. Did you watch Billy in the press? Did you cover the game or watch the game?
Yeah.
You covered it. So you were in the presser.
I wasn't in it because we were doing a live television show, but I watched it on television. Yeah. We carried it.
He was pissy.
Yeah.
I want him pissy.
Yeah.
He's been too gathered.
Yeah.
He's so respectful and Southern gentleman.
Yeah.
That I want him a little ticked off. Did you sense that a little?
Yes.
More than other times.
Yes.
You sensed that a little. Today, we do this on Monday. Brenton Cox is gone.
Yeah.
I don't think Billy's sorry. I don't know everything that happened.
Nope.
Do you know any of the details?
The only thing I saw, there was a little skirmish at the end of the game, but that wouldn't be the reason why. No. There has to be more to it.
And Billy said it was cumulative. He said that in his Monday press conference. So I'm not surprised by that. I think something happened. Something happened in that skirmish that maybe was worse than people know. But I sense that I wouldn't be surprised if there's another player or two that are gone this week. I just get the sense that enough's enough.
Yeah.
So I think the culture building is going to happen.
Well, you're either going to buy into his program or you're not going to be.
That's what I guess.
Yeah.
And I sense that he said,
and he's probably been telling him that all along. But here's your first. Okay.
Right.
Listen, Brenton Cox. It's not a good defense.
Right.
And you can argue whether he's a good player or not a good player.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's just an okay.
But they're all just okay.
That's right.
So he's an older okay.
Yeah. I'm in London.
Yeah.
With Loggeman and all the boys watching the game.
Yeah.
And they don't know the Florida team. They're for people that don't know, these are Jaguar broadcast buddies of mine. We do the Jaguar games. And about 5 or 6 or 7 of us watching the game together. And at one point, I'm telling them Florida's not very good. They're kind of kid, but you're going to get routed. And at one point, I don't know if it was the running back or the guard blasted Ventrell Miller. Just plowed him. You remember the play? Plowed Ventrell Miller, knocked him down, and ran for a bunch of yards. And one of the guys said, "Boy, you're not very good." I says, "Well, let me stop you. That's our best player. Okay, that's the best guy." And someone just plowed him on a block.
Right.
And I said, "That's the best one."
Right.
And so the point being, they've got to build it. I almost think this is a bit of a tipping point. They're not going to be very good. Maybe they'll beat Maybe they're probably not going to win at A&M. Maybe they will. Maybe they'll beat South Carolina. They weren't very good last week. Maybe they won't. I don't think they're winning in Tallahassee. I think they're going to beat Vanderbilt. They got one more win to even get to a bowl. We know what it is. It's 79 with more wins.
Right.
But I do think it's going to get built. The question is, how quickly can they win, and what's going to happen with the Anthony Richardson scenario? That's the big question.
Yeah.
He's got a couple pretty good running backs. He's recruited some good players. The roster will be better next year, younger but better. But the question is, in this day and age of quarterback play, what happens? I guess he's got to play him the rest of the year. There's nobody else to play.
Right.
I don't sense that Jack Miller or Jalen Kittner are going to go running out there in quarter number 2 of the A&M
some
game.
fans have been screaming for it, Frank, and I get it, but there's no real point if those guys aren't going to ever be the starting quarterback at Florida. The next starter may not even be there right now, most likely. So, you play it out, see what he can do, see if he can find himself, see if he can. It's just it's the damnedest thing trying to figure out what it is. 270 yards passing. He only got credit for 19 yards rushing, but that's because of the sacks. He probably had 50 or 60 yards rushing.
Right.
But there's something
I said
missing.
I tipped when we did this 2 weeks ago. I touched on this, and I'll say it definitively. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong.
Yeah.
I don't think I've seen enough now.
Yeah, I hear you.
That I don't think there's a good college quarterback in there. I just don't. I think he's a wonderful kid, a wonderful athlete.
Right.
He may be a move tight end like so many of these really good college quarterbacks become at the next level because he's a brilliant athlete. But I don't see a particularly good college quarterback there. And I've watched and I'm rooting for the kid, man.
Sure.
I'm not trying to be one of these mean media guys that yell. I'm not going to be that guy. But I don't see a good college quarterback there. I've now watched enough games. The sample size isn't quite so small. It's not like the NFL where you're going to play 8 or 9 years. You're going to play a couple years. So the sample size matters more. And I just don't. I don't.
And there's not a lot of greatness around him to help him.
No question. And, that's 100% true. And
my 2 criticisms of the Napier coaching staff so far, there's 2 things. One is the time management. I think we saw a little bit more of that on Saturday at the end of the half. Botched it around, gave Georgia a little time. It came down, whatever. At this point, whatever. But hopefully he's learning from it. He kicked a field goal when it was 14-0 instead of going for it on 4. You know what I mean?
Right.
So there's some things, The other thing and I'll ask you this. Florida is 4-4. Who's improved?
You mean players-wise?
Yeah,
that's a good question.
Where have you seen improvement?
Yeah, and I don't know that
Did you see any?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
I don't know that that's the barometer for coaches in a new program as much as people think it is.
No.
I don't think it works that way.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't see where Guy X is way better than he was in game 2 is what you're asking. I don't see that. But
I don't see much imagination on offense.
Well, that's what concerns me.
Yeah.
I've tweeted that.
Yeah.
The offense looks like they line up in the spread. And the shotgun.
How many miles a game does Xavier Henderson run?
Right,
with that
they got the
motion. He comes.
They motion, and a lot of times they'll start empty.
Yeah,
and then they'll motion running back to the backfield.
Right.
I understand why you do. The reason teams do that is to see what the defense is doing.
Are they in man or?
And the quarterback then can see based on how they respond to the motion what the defense. I understand why.
Sure.
But it's the same every time. Yeah. It's slow developing. There's not much tempo.
Yeah.
The routes seem pretty. There's nothing fancy. There's nothing that makes you go, wow.
Yeah.
Now, but I also asked this question when I tweeted this. Is that just who Billy is? Because it is the way Louisiana looked a little bit at the end of the year when I finally watched.
Right.
Or is he limited because Anthony Richardson or other members of the team aren't good enough to run what he wants to run? And I don't know that answer.
Could be. I don't think anybody does.
Yeah.
I think we'll find out as time goes by. And look, he's got to go to work and he's got to, he's rebuilding everything.
Yeah.
And, I think he's done a lot of good things off the field. And we kind of felt like this was going to be the season that we were going to see. Nobody expected them to beat Georgia.
Right.
Right? So it happened. They showed a little fight. It was 28-3.
And that they do. One thing, they play hard for him.
Yeah.
There's no quit. Last year at the end of the Mullen era, they just wanted to get to the end of the season.
Yeah.
I don't sense that now.
No.
They play hard for him. They want to win. I think they believe in him.
Yeah.
I think he wants to believe in who they are.
Yeah.
The team's just not very good.
Not very good.
Sometimes the problem is that your team's not very good.
Not very good.
And so I think that's in play. But I really think this is a little bit of a turning point weekend because I haven't seen him look mad until now. He did not, when he talked about Cox, he said, listen, we're going to help him in transition. It's a cumulative thing. I don't want to get into details.
Right.
But you got to make a decision. Sometimes you're better moving on. He was curt. He's not been curt since he got the job.
Yeah.
And he was a little bit curt this week.
It's interesting in this day and age. I wonder, too, if, like, with fans giving money and helping out,
Yeah.
Should we know? Do we have a right to know why the student athlete has been dismissed?
No, I don't.
Yeah.
I think the Buckley Amendment's a good one, which defends or protects students' rights. He's still a student. I'm
Okay.
and look, I think we can probably put it together.
Oh, sure.
This is probably a guy not playing well. The team's not doing very well. He probably
not buying in. He's on my way out. Probably talks about the league all the time.
And he probably his boat up somewhere to somebody.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. I don't want to misrepresent.
Sure,
I don't know that. But
we don't know.
But back to moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
As they move forward, is there anything in these last handful of games?
Mm-hmm.
A&M's not very good, but it's going to be hard to beat them there. They almost beat Alabama. South Carolina just lost.
I don't think they win Saturday.
Yeah, I don't either.
I think they might beat South Carolina at home.
And will beat Vanderbilt.
I think they'll beat Vandy. I don't think they're beating FSU.
I don't either. So that if we're right, that might win, that potential win over South Carolina that we both think is a maybe.
A maybe
is what they need to get to a bowl.
Yeah,
and a
bowl would be important for them.
The bowl would be important. You know why? Because
practices, right?
On field practice.
Yeah,
but culturally, it starts the new belief.
Yeah,
some guys who aren't coming back won't play in that game, and that, by the way, is okay. So
right.
But
there were some different faces out there on Saturday as well throughout, and guys getting some snaps. But I do want to talk about with you before we get out of here the recruiting, and the Cormani McClain story because it's a fascinating one, and I think it's one that we're going to see more and more of going forward. They say it was the biggest shocker since the kid was it Travis Hunter.
Yeah,
spurned FSU and went to Jackson State.
Correct.
I mean, there is not a recruiting expert, of which I am not one. I'm talking about the guys who
really
crystal ball it and had Cormani McClain to Florida.
Yeah, everybody had and you do follow it closer than I do, so you'd have a better opinion than mine.
And being out and talking to so many folks in the know, even though they're not in the know, but they think they're in the know because they have a friend who has a friend who's booster.
Correct.
The overwhelming Florida side of things is, we got outbid.
Yeah,
we got outbid. And that's one factor that you cannot figure in the recruiting game, and that's why you'll probably see more of these type of situations. Well, the question I have is, I know Billy doesn't want to pay kid to come to Florida.
Right.
You come to Florida.
You're not supposed to.
Correct. But they all do.
Yeah, but I'm just telling you.
I know, you're right, but there's no one to regulate that.
Right.
But you come to Florida, and we'll take care of you. Okay, I mean, go ask Anthony Richardson if he's taking.
Correct.
Okay, so they will take care of you. But the question I have is, will you not get, if you're a 5-star kid, one of the top 30 in the country? Are you gonna take?
Here's what I think.
This, or are you going to take the money on the table?
Here's what I think. Mm-hmm. Number one, I don't think it's quite that black and white.
Right.
Money on the table versus this. I think it probably all gets meshed in there.
I would agree.
There's more money here. But I'll tell you this: he and maybe this is just Pollyanna Gator guy talking,
right?
But Dan, he is building a culture. I said this 8 months ago to you and to others. Mm-hmm. He's now throwing a party that people think they might want to come to. Mm-hmm. We haven't had that in a long time in Gainesville.
Yeah, I agree.
The same party they have in Tuscaloosa and Athens and Columbus and Clemson. Now people are starting to want to come. That's why he's recruiting better. Mm-hmm. He hadn't got the 5s yet, but he's getting a lot of those 4s. Mm-hmm. Well, the more you start getting players, the less that NIL factors. No one's outbidding. I shouldn't say nobody, but not many teams are outbidding Georgia and Ohio State and Clemson and Alabama for players. NIL isn't hurting them. Mm-hmm. You know why? Because they've created the party that people want to go to. Mm-hmm. If Billy creates that, there's going to be, and we don't know that that's how Miami got him, but that's the in Gator Nation. Right. But in Gator Nation, that's the narrative.
Correct.
Well, if indeed that is correct, I can tell you that there will be fewer times that will happen when Florida is really up and running. Mm-hmm. I mean, the fact that they almost got Cormani McClain, the fact that they've got all 8, at one time they had 18 out of 22 were 4-stars. Mm-hmm. That's not the 5s yet, but that's a step. Mm-hmm. And I think the fact that that's getting built, it's a long-winded way of telling you, once he's got it built, I'm not worried about him getting NIL'd out of players. That would mean one won't happen here or there.
Yeah.
But once it's built, if FSU was built, if FSU was Bobby Bowden in the late 80s, early 90s built, Travis Hunter doesn't go to Jackson State.
Right.
Part of it is he wanted to go play for Prime.
That's
the other
fair.
part is he wasn't walking away from Charlie Ward FSU.
Correct.
He was walking away from Tate Rodemaker FSU.
Well,
and I think once it's built, it's not as likely to happen.
He's got great challenges going forward, and the play on the field is indicative of that. Listen, Florida's defense was actually better on Saturday. I almost learned who the Georgia punter was.
Right.
I almost did.
Right.
He came out in the first quarter, and I saw him.
Yeah.
But I think they were still 6 of 12 on third downs.
And so, well, for me, and I hate to say this, I do have one quick basketball question before we wrap.
Wow.
But I hate to say this.
Yeah.
I didn't feel like 42-20 was that close. I think they blew a coverage.
Yeah.
They blew a coverage, so we got an 80-yard touchdown, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I almost think
Georgia was in control. The whole way.
Georgia didn't even. I didn't even think Georgia was.
It just chafes my ass that we can't get to Stetson Bennett.
Yeah, I know.
It chafes me deeply.
Yeah. And we had some defensive guys.
Is that bad to say?
Yeah, no.
Don't use that in the tease, okay?
Yeah.
I don't want that in the tease.
But I get it.
No promises.
So all right, hey, before we get out of here, basketball starts a week from today.
Get out of here.
The season.
Well, you better have a report because
but here, but let me.
You're going to be optimistic, and I'm going to be Danny Downer again.
I'm the beat reporter, just like you're the recruiting guy. But let me. But to your point, basketball starts a week from today.
Yeah.
Okay. So I was laughing about it. I'm serious about this. So Castleton's a really good player.
Yeah.
Let me tell you the other key guys.
Yeah.
Lofton.
Yeah.
Bonham.
Mm-hmm.
Richard.
Yeah.
You see where I'm going with this?
Yeah, the guys that we don't know who they are.
We have no idea.
Yeah.
I mean, where college basketball has gone,
you could say St. Bonaventure, VMI.
Right, correct.
And what's the other school it came from? Liberty?
Belmont.
No. Belmont.
And again, by the way, and I know I left out Kwesi Reeves, who's going to be good, and Felder, who comes back. I know that. But the point I'm making is we are a week out. We have no idea if they're any good. I mean, isn't that weird, the world we're in now?
It's not like
that. At least we have
Joakim is back,
right? Or even in
Tito's boy Al.
Well, even when they weren't that good, even when it was Calathis and Chandler Parsons,
we knew
David Lee. At least we had an eye. Well, we might have been wrong, but we knew what we were going to see. We knew if they were going to run, if they weren't going to run. I have no idea.
Unless you've gone to the Gator scrimmage, which I think they had one in Jacksonville this weekend, by the way. You have no idea. Someone
came up to me, a Gator friend, and said, "Hey, man,
scouting report."
Yeah. Said, "Hey, Lofton's going to be a really good point guard." No, hang on. Lofton's going to, and this guy Richard can shoot it. What do you think about the Gators?
Yeah.
I'm like, I got no idea.
Yeah.
I know Colin Castleton's a big, tall, good college player.
Yeah.
And it looks like Kwesi Reeves, if he gets to play more, will make a lot of shots, and that's all I got. I mean, have you ever thought a week out? Have you ever had less?
No.
We have nothing. So, I mean, I can't wait to watch
We don't even know the coach.
I don't even know. Do they run? Do they stop? Do they press? Do they play 40 minutes? I don't know what they do.
We're going to find out.
Yeah, so I guess we will. So
all right, man.
In the podcast, we're giving you all that basketball information. That's all things Gators.
What we do.
All things orange and blue. Dan Hickett, Frank Franchi.
And thank you, Southeast Orthopedic Specialists, se-ortho.com, for all your orthopedic needs. Frank, have a great week.
You too, Hick.